Welcome everyone in this new video live development on auto battlers. In this video we're going to do a huge step. We're going to make it so our units can have an AI and fight each other. So it's going to be, I think that one is going to be a long video. So tighten your seatbelts because we're diving in right away. So first things we need something like a way to find in which team is each and every unit, and I'm wondering where to store the enum regarding teams. So we're just going to create a new utils folder, and we're going to create a new enumerator which is going to be eTeam, and we're going to create a number of team equals the number of player you can have. So that may sound a bit well, maybe we can just use, no, we're just going to use an int. Yeah, that's silly. That is silly if I just want to do that. So we're not going to need that utility folder. We're just going to need to open up our game state, auto battler game state. And do we need to create a child blueprint class? No, we don't, because outgame, both in-game and out-game, we will need to have the reference to the team members. So we have something like teams, and it's going to be some type of integer map of players, I believe. But I think we cannot replicate that yet because maps cannot be replicated. But we might be doing some tricks to replicate that from elsewhere. Let me think about it real quick because we need to think ahead of the multiplayer in case we're not going to take care of that for now. For now we're just going to say that our units have some kind of team index which is going to be an int, and for now we're going to make it editable, and this unit is going to be from the team 1 and the other are going to be from the team 2. And we're going to need to open up our grid, the battlefield, because battlefields are going to retain all the units they have on themselves, and we're going to replace these by battlefields. So I think we can do this by finding the battlefield in the content browser, right clicking that and say replace by battlefield, like this. So these are battlefields if I'm not mistaken. If I open, yep, it opens up, and I think it should be exactly the same way. Yep, it does. Okay. Oh, it does not. Oh yeah, and that's because that's the initial errors because of the units, I think. I think that's because we are trying to find if it's equal. Oh no, it should not be. Why is it throwing errors? If we delete the unit, hit play, quit, we don't have errors. And if we drop unit, what does it do? We don't have errors anyway either. And if we move the unit, we don't have errors. Okay, so this is just the replace stuff that messed up the logic, but it's fine, everything is working. So these are battlefields. When you drop, and battlefields will retain the information of all the units they contain, and we're going to find what you need to fight based on this list of units and their team. So we have units from team 1 there. Both units are going to be from team 1. I mean, we don't care. No, team 0 and team 1. Yep, like that. We're going to make that an archer, just so we can see the difference in team between these two. Okay, so this is fine. they are of different team now, and our battlefield will retain information about all the units it contains. And how are we going to do that? Mhm. It's kind of tricky because I think it's just going to be placeholder. I think we're just going to how are we going to do that? Because in theory, units are going to be like teleported on the battlefield, and it's going to have all the information it needs at that moment. But how are we going to prototype that? We're going to hit an input key and it's going to start the combat, and all the units on this battlefield are going to fight each other. I think we're just going to get by the level blueprint because everything is really like temporary just to get the AI rolling. So if we head there and type in like inputs I'm looking for the I key, input I mean. If I press I, I'm going to grab a reference to, I'm going to rename them just because they are no longer grid but battlefields. Okay, like that. So when I press the I key, I want to trigger the fight on this battlefield. So I'm going to grab a reference to all of the, so we need to have a reference of all the square we created. So let's open up the grid, let's get the child actor class of the child actor component we create, let's cast that into a square, let's promote that to a variable, let's delete that variable, let's make that an array, let's call that squares, let's add the square to the array like that, like this. So the battlefield has a function called start combat where it will get all its squares, find units in battlefield, which will get the squares. We're going to loop through the squares. We're going to have another function which is going to be called store units in team, is going to grab units as parameter. We're going to compile, find units in battlefield, get hosted units. We want to grab his team. We're going to delete the function we just created because this is going to be enough. We have a new variable which is going to be a map of ints and an array of factors, so it's going to be units. From team, it's going to be an integer map of an array of units, and we'll have to create a structure for that. Utils, new structure, f units. Unit is going to grab a reference, an array. It's going to be called units, like this, up, down. So it's going to be an array, a map of units, and we're going to find the array corresponding to the team. We're going to break that, we're going to make that, we're going to pin that team here, we're going to append to that array, we're going to make that temp unit array, we're going to append to the temporary array we just created like that, and we're going to make that. And what are we going to append? We're going to append the unit we are looping through, the hosted unit we are looping through. So when we start combat, we're going to find all the units on the battlefield, and it's going to print their name and their team, and we're going to do it in the end. No, it's going to be boring to do. So like that, what units on what team. Oh, I double clicked that node, and it's going to open up Visual Studio, and I don't want that at all. If I hit play, oh yeah, we didn't start combat, and we have the errors I was talking we had earlier. Initial square. Oh yeah, I'm trying to clean up stuff where if we have an initial square, we're going to clean that. If not, we're just going to go ahead and find it, and it won't throw errors at us anymore. Yep. So when I press the I key, it's going to start the combat. Oh, we have way too much stuff. Yep, we have way too much stuff going on. Why did we have so much? Why did we have so much sprints, I wonder? We should have only two, and we had, yeah, cannot get variable value. And it's spamming from, yeah, so we're going to get rid of the spam by opening up our controller and just saying that when we try to find the focus square, if the length of that array is greater than 0, we're going to check what's going on there. If not, we're not going to do anything. And we'll have far more or less spam in there, hopefully. Yep. So why do we have so much print string when we have only 2 units? If I put 3, we'll have 3. Yep. But we have some kind of problems there. Yeah, okay. That's because I'm not checking if we do have a valid hosted unit, and we should be checking this. It was checking for all the squares, so if I hit high, we're only going to have 2 units from 2 different teams. Great. Oh, we had some kind of strange behaviors. No, we have 2 0 and 1 1. That's perfect. So we have a battlefield which knows how much unit it has. We'll need another function in there, get closest enemy unit, which is going to return a unit, and it's going to be pure, and it's going to grab another unit. So how are we going to do this? I think we're just going to maybe we didn't even needed that. That might sound a bit silly, but I think we're just going to know how are we going to do this. For now, we're just going to say, hey, let's find out if there is a unit. I don't know how to do that. I mean, I know how, but it's not, I think it's not the proper way right now. So we're going to have an array of units. We're just going to build that in the parent, because grid, find units in grid, and we're going to have that right now like that. We're going to delete the units variables from there. We're going to go on the grid. We're going to create a variable named like that, to which we're going to add each unit we find like this. Find units in grid when it begins. I mean, know when battlefield starts combat, so we can get rid of find units in battlefield. No, we're going to keep that for now. When we start combat, we're going to find units in grid, the function we just created in the parent, like that. And when we want to get the closest units, we want to get all the units, loop through them. We'll have a temporary variable, which is going to be a float, a single variable. It's going to be closest distance. It's going to be like way big at the beginning. We're going to get the team of the unit we are looping through. If it's not of our team, promote that to a local variable. We're going to check against that variable if it's an enemy. Basically, we're going to find how far it is to us. If it's an enemy, we're going to grab its distance to the unit we are trying to find the closest enemy to. If that distance is inferior or equals to the closest distance, we're going to say that the closest distance is now that value, and we're going to promote that to a local variable, which is temp closest units. And the temporary closest unit is that one if it's less than if its distance to the actor we are looking for is less than the actor on the grid. Then we're storing that temporary closest unit like that. Get closest enemy units. So units have a way to find out the closest what you need to aggro. So now we can move on to the behavior tree themselves. So we're going to create a new utils folder in the AI, which is going to contain several enums. The first one being unit states. We're going to have static states. When they are in recruitment phase, they cannot fight, they cannot do anything. We're going to have idle, which is strange actually. Now we're going to have looking for targets. We're going to have fighting, and we're going to have dead. They are dead, and maybe like stand. That's I'm just going to close all the rests for now. Where is going to be located the enum taking care of dead? I think in their AI states. Let's find out. They are all static by default, and we're going to change that a bit, reorganize that, handling like this, and we're going to have a new function called start combat. For now we're going to pull that in the combats section, and we're going to have a new function called get blackboard to get its unit's intelligence. It's going to be located in AI. Maybe start combat is going to be in AI too. Get blackboard. We're going to grab the controller of that. We should be able to get the blackboard of that, and we're going to print that for now just to see if our setup is working properly. So when we call that function, it's going to return the blackboard we use for that unit. And if we call that, it should return, we're going to call that in start combat for now. If we press, it won't trigger, but if we open up our level blueprints, when we start combat, our battlefield, we're going to grab our units and tell them to start combat. Like that. So when we press I, we'll see if it has a blackboard. It doesn't have a blackboard, so that's what we were thinking about. So we need to tell this unit to always have an auto process AI placed in world or spawned. We need to tell him what is the controller of that unit. It's the BP unit controller, like that. And the unit controller will tell the units to, actually we're going to initialize the behavior tree in the unit itself, I think, for now. So we're going to create blackboard, run blackboard. We're going to get the controller, run blackboard, blackboard behavior, get AI controller, I think, yep, blackboard, use blackboard, I don't remember, makes the AI use the specified blackboard asset and creates a blackboard component. Yeah, that's what we want to use. Like that. What blackboard do we want to, oh, it doesn't have run behavior tree, that's what I wanted. And we have our BT units in there. So we'll just run blackboard for now, and when we press I think it will return something now. No, it doesn't. I wonder why it doesn't. So do we have something in there? We do have something in there, and we tell all our units to start combats, and it's supposed to return their blackboard. So we have like two units which are supposed to tell to run their blackboard, but I haven't. So when the unit spawns, it's, oh, maybe this is returning null actually, because it's too early. That's why I'm supposed to build that logic in the controller. Control P to bring up that menu. When it is being created, it's going to run a behavior tree, which is going to be BT unit, but it's still returning null, and that's quite odd. I'm just going to add one simple task in a sequence. Oh, we haven't created the blackboard. I'm so dumb. We have created the behavior tree, not the blackboard. The blackboard is a container of information, and we are trying to get that, but I haven't created it, so we have to create it. Blackboard BB units, and the unit is going to use that blackboard, so we have to tell the BT unit that it's using. How do we do that already? What kind of, we're going to need an object pointer, which is target. Key type object, we can specify this is going to be an actor, like that. So we need to tell the behavior tree to use that. I fail to remember how we do. Blackboard asset BT unit, like that. Yep, and now it's returning the proper stuff. So we have a target. We haven't set it up yet, but we will. So we're going to ask the AI to move to its target when it's going to be in combat. So we're going to need another sequence. We're going to have a selector which is going to go there and there, and then this is going to be like that. We're going to have a decorator. The blackboard is going to contain an enum state, which is an enum which is going to be the state, like this. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Quite strange. If I edit there, it doesn't appear in the other tab. So unit states, we're going to add a decorator, blackboard. If we are if the key is equal to static, we're going to wait, and we're going to copy and paste that decorator here. And if we are looking for target, we're going to move to our target, like this. On value change, abort self. On value change, abort self. I think we're going to be static by default. Yep, they are all static by default, so that's what we want. So now we're going to say that when the unit enters combat, we can grab our blackboard, set blackboard value as enum, like that. Key name, we want the states, and make enum make literal state unit state, literal enum unit state looking for target, like this. Is going to say I have no targets, and we need to drop a nav mesh there. Because units need them to move. If we press the P key, it appears like that. Our unit is going to need a pawn movement, a floating pawn movement. We're just going to add that for now. So we haven't specified what targets they should be using for now. And it basically needs to get the battlefield in which it is. And I'm just going to remove that function for now and paste that here. Start combat, looking for target, and we're going to look for how to send them, how to make them use find closest targets, which is on the battlefield. Get closest enemy unit. This is the targets. This is the target they are supposed to find. So I think the units need a reference to the battlefield. I think there is a better way to do that, but for now we're just going to do that. So battlefield. So when the battlefield finds its units, I mean find units in battlefield, we're just going to set the battlefield here to ourselves like this, and when a unit is there, it's going to grab its battlefield, gets the closest enemy units. I mean not at all, not at all. We want to do that the clean way, and the clean way is to create a task. It's not going to be there, it's going to be there. Tasks, new blueprint class, AI task, BT task blueprint base. We want to BTT find closest targets, and when it runs, I don't quite remember, receive execute AI. We want to cast the pawn into a unit. We want to grab the battlefield. It's going to have I think it's going to have a BB key, a blackboard value. It's going to modify the blackboard value target. Set value as object or actor. Set value as object. We want to get closest enemy unit from that unit, and we want to set it. And we're, for the sake of debugging, we're going to print that, and we need to call finish execute. It succeeded. This is going to be public if we want to set it properly. And before moving to, it's going to find closest targets. The BB target is going to be target like this. So it's going to print. We're even going to append just to see if it triggers like that. So if we hit P, yeah, something happened clearly. They fall on the ground, and I think that's because they have no collision whatsoever. So this has no collision. I think we can say it blocks all but the cursor. So I think we're just going to set custom and it doesn't block the cursor. So what if now we press I? Yep. So they are moving towards each other. So that's a huge step. And if we put 3 units and one is closest than the other, yep, sounds like it's working. They pick some strange paths to find each other, but we'll say it's working. We'll say it's okay. I'm just reordering stuff real quick. And what did I wanted to try out? I wanted to try out the fact that the nav mesh might be a bit better. How to do that, if I remember correctly, cell size 5. I think that's it's going to be, oh yeah, I know why it doesn't like the fact that the unit can affect the navigation. We're just going to grab our units, pop them up like this, open up units, say this is going to be a dynamic obstacle, and put them back on the ground. I don't think it should put that in red. I think I need to check out how the character is set up by default. Oh yeah, I need to create a character just just to check how it's set up by default. Regarding navigation, can ever affect navigation, false. False as well. How is the capsule space setup? Can ever affect navigation, false as well. Okay, that's what I need to modify. So if I put them up again, and I say it cannot affect the navigation, yep, it's behaving a bit more like I anticipated. I can still move them, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so it seems to be working. And did the did they pick a better pass to each other? Yeah, they kind of did. And they're not rotating towards their movements, and it kind of bothered me for now. But it will be the subject of a next video. I think it's enough for now for that one. We have made some impressive progress on our AI, even if it might not look like so. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.